Hey, we are back, and for those who are just joining us, welcome to the very first live show for JOTI Special Edition. As we promised you at the very beginning, we have a very special occasion tonight for scouting and for young people everywhere. Join me to welcome Secretary General of World Scouting, the Secretary General, for World Scouting, Ahmad Alhendawi, and the UN High Commissioner for Refugees, Filippo Grandi, as they sign the new partnership between the two organizations. Hello, guys, and thank you for joining us. So let me start with you, Filippo. How are you doing, and how are you coping with all what's happening in the world these days?
These are strange times. I am the head of a big organization, 17,000 people working all over the world to support refugees and displaced people. These are the people that have had to leave their home, have been forced to leave their home because of war, persecution, discrimination. There's about 70 million of them around the world. And normally we run, huge operation from our headquarters here in Geneva, Switzerland. But now we have to run this operation from our homes. We are also confined at home in many of the countries where we operate. So it's a completely new situation. But what is important is that just like the Scouts, I guess, we never stop. So we need to adapt our work to this pandemics. And also, we need to prepare for possible outbreaks among these populations that are extremely vulnerable. So I'm very happy to be here and to spend a few moments with the Scouts, because we've been working together for a long time, and we value very much the partnership with you.
Thank you. What about you, Ahmed? As a Scouts, we are always prepared, right?
Absolutely. I mean, we're always prepared, and I must admit, although the entire world is caught off guard at the moment, and not necessarily was fully prepared for a pandemic, but I think we're showing the agility of the Scout movement in mobilizing quickly. I think that motto will be prepared, and being always prepared has never been this relevant. And I'm incredibly proud also of all the work that the Scout leaders are doing around the world, following their actions and the front lines, and especially tonight being with the UN agency, that if it changes its name actually to anything else, it would be to the organization that is always prepared, that is UNHCR. So we're very proud of this partnership, and to be with a great friend, Filippo, the High Commissioner, who has been doing a great job and really mobilizing the entire world to support the most vulnerable of the human family today.
Thank you. As Filippo said, the work never stops. So, Filippo, can you tell us about the global situation for refugees and others who have been forced from their homes by war and conflict?
Well, many people are refugees proper, meaning that there is a war in their country, or they are persecuted, discriminated, there is violence of various types. Sometimes there are the effects of climate change. There's many reasons that push people away from their countries, because if they go back to their countries, they are at risk. So they go to another country, and there they are considered refugees. There are also people that cannot cross borders. We call them displaced in their own countries. These are the 70 million people I'm talking about. Now, why are they particularly vulnerable now? Because they live in overcrowded conditions. And you know what we have been told over and over again in the past couple of months. Wash your hands. These people have little water. We are told stay at home. Many of these people do not have homes. We are being told maintain safe distances from each other. These people live in very crowded spaces. So how to help them is a huge challenge. But we are trying to step up our water programs, our shelter programs, to give them some repair, some protection from the virus. These people are vulnerable in any circumstance, even if there is no pandemics. Now they're even more vulnerable. So we need solidarity. And solidarity does not mean only money, means understanding their situation, means encouraging governments and other institutions to give resources to help them.
Then from what you have been saying, refugees are living in very difficult circumstances due to COVID-19 these days, right?
We have not seen yet, thank God, any major outbreak. Most of the outbreaks have been in Europe, in China, of course, in some Asian countries, in the US. But we are very worried that the epidemics could move to countries in Africa, in the Middle East, in Latin America, where health systems are not very strong. And we have seen how much health systems have been put under pressure in rich countries. So imagine if this happens on a large scale in poor countries. This is what we need to get ready. And if I may add a point, there is another big risk. Many poor people, be they refugees or otherwise, in those continents live on very little money, often have daily jobs. They don't have proper job security. So in a situation like this, these are the first jobs that are lost. These are the people that most quickly become poor. And this will have an even longer effect, a longer impact, even when we get over the coronavirus. So we need to really make sure that we have the resources and the systems in place to help millions of refugees and other vulnerable people. We help them not to precipitate, not to fall into very bad situations of poverty and deprivation.
Ahmed, when Filippo said it's time for solidarity, that makes me think that Scouting has, for many decades, supported marginalized groups, including refugees and other forced from their homes by war and conflict. However, the movement has been able for supporting refugees from World War II to bring in Scouting to internet camps. So what kinds of efforts are Scouting making today to welcome refugees into communities?
You're absolutely right, Noor. I think if you look for our movement of its existence for over 113 years, that mode of extending a helping hand for those in need has been basically the very DNA of the Scout movement over the years. And I would see our interconnected world today is also more vulnerable to some of these shocks or some of the crises that are forcing people to flee, not only because of conflicts, we're seeing because of climate, we are seeing because basically of all the social unrest that happens inside societies. And where Scouting fits here is making sure that we are out there in support of refugees and in support of young people who are in need. A majority of refugees are displaced people, are young people in the first place, and they are basically struggling and suffering, basically losing some valuable years in their life where they are either building their education or building their skills, and they need to be equipped to deal with the world. And we're seeing how these, and some nations were talking about a lost generation that needs to be rescued and supported immediately. Now in Scouting, that help has been constantly being delivered by national Scout organizations. We're seeing how the Greek Scouts have stepped up at the shores of the Mediterranean, supporting refugees upon arrival, extending the help they need. But we have seen also how Scouting is reaching young people in refugee camps, where Edgar is in Kenya. We have seen Scouting groups integrating young people and allowing them also a mean of education. So it's not only about the humanitarian response, and Filippo would be better than me in explaining how in the humanitarian response we often talk about providing shelters, providing food, providing basically medication, but we also talk about that early response needs to include education, because we are seeing sometimes for 2 or 3 or 4 years, and we cannot ask young people to wait 4 years without any education. So that's become a part of the basic need for young people, and that even what can be seen as an early stage of a conflict or displacement. Now with that, we believe we do have something mobile to offer in Scouting. Now, if education in most settings require a classroom, the brilliance of the Scout method that we don't need a classroom to implement them. I think we can operate it and deliver it in any setting. That's what we have seen at Salka camp or Dadaab camp that we will be interviewing tomorrow. scouting activities and that type of non-formal education is being delivered to young people, even in these dire situations. So that's why I think whether in the immediate support, as we have seen an increase in other parts of the world in Turkey, but also in delivering a more sustained education program for young people. At both fronts, we do have a responsibility. And I'm incredibly proud of many National Scout organizations who have been answering that call of duty. And as a Jordanian myself, coming from a country that has absorbed and dealt with a lot of these crises and supported refugees over the years, I know that we cannot fail young people who are basically waiting for opportunities. And as a youth movement, we do have that responsibility. And we are proud to work shoulder to shoulder with volunteers from the Red Cross, from the United Nations, and others at the front lines in supporting refugees in these circumstances.
Indeed, like today, you know that over 3.7 million refugee children are out of school. I was gonna ask you, like, what's our role as scouts in supporting the learning and development of young refugees? And you have been now just giving us concrete examples, talking about non-formal education, which is our role right at this period?
Yeah, I think you mentioned that with education, the delivery of education and supporting non-formal education. But I think besides also providing a humanitarian response and education, let me add one more layer that tonight I would like to ask every single scout, every young people to do. We need to be the voice for the young people who have no voice today, for the stateless, so for the displaced young people, and for these populations who really need young people to speak up and speak out and be their voice in making sure that we give them their rights and we help them basically finding their way to normalcy. I would dare even, and help me there, Filippo, I mean, I would dare to see that we are all today, we are reminded of, like, we are all home refugees today. We are all retreating under the COVID-19 to seek refuge and a shelter, a place that can keep us safe. And while we are enjoying this safety, one should be reminded that there are many others, brothers and sisters of the human family, who cannot even have that luxury of being able to retreat somewhere. And under these circumstances in relation to COVID, it's incredibly important of all of us that we do everything in our power to stop the spread of COVID-19 and make sure that even if a well-established state, their immune system is not helping them to counter the spread, we have to make sure to make every refugee camp as immune as possible from this terror.
Indeed, and this basically takes me to my next question to Filippo. I would love to know, and many more young people who are watching us, what are some things that we can do today from our houses while practicing social distancing that can support refugees wherever they are, especially those who are living in our own communities?
First of all, I want to echo what Ahmed said, that be the voice for these people. Be the voice in particular for the young refugees, young like you. 50%, Ahmed referred to that, 50% of these 70 million people, 70 million is a lot, 50%, half of them are under 18 years old. And many more are young people like you. So be their voice, by having this discussion at your jamboree, by giving me the honor of being part of it. And thank you, Ahmed, for that. Really, already you're doing a big service to the cause of refugees. But then to go to your question, Noor, I think that even in our communities, anywhere in the world, in our communities, there will be people that are either refugees or in other ways vulnerable. I think what COVID, what the coronavirus is telling all of us, assuming the virus can say something, but there is a message there, I think. And the message is we're all vulnerable. None of us is immune from threat, from risk, from from being in a dangerous situation. So I think that this should be the time not to close ourselves and look inwards, but on the contrary, to have solidarity for other people. The Scout movement is one of the greatest manifestations of solidarity in the world, in our contemporary world, and has been for decades. So now for you, the Scouts, it's time to live up to that. It's time to show that solidarity is an important value. It is an important message in today's world, where solidarity sometimes is a little bit on the side, because it's all about making money and being strong and about ourselves. For once, let's pause and reflect. We're all in our homes, or many of us are in our homes. We have more time. Let's reflect on that. And let's get knowledge about what's happening in our own community and also globally. Let's read about refugees. Let's learn about their plight. And when we will be able again to have social interaction, let's meet refugees. Once you meet them, you understand their plight and you can become more helpful to them. Personal knowledge is so important. Refugees are not numbers. They're people with stories, with difficult stories. I encourage you to learn about that and to become more familiar. And you will become, by doing that, the greatest advocate for our cause.
Thank you so much for that. I guess young people now know what they have to do in the upcoming few days. Now, I have a question for both of you, gentlemen. And let's start with Filippo. What are you most excited about achieving through this collaboration?
Well, first of all, let me stress, my organization, which is called, it's a difficult name, UNHCR, the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees. We are the UN refugee organization. And we have had a partnership with the Scout movement for 25 years. So we've done a lot. I'm so thrilled that tomorrow, as Ahmed mentioned, you are interacting in the Jamboree with the refugee scouts, if I understand correctly, from a refugee camp in Kenya, in Africa. Because this is also a sign of our partnership that this has become possible. So I look forward to more of that, to more partnership where we can really, in a practical way, involve members of the Scout movement, Scout organization, Scout individuals in practical projects to support refugees. We're open to proposals in education, in distance education, but in many other ways as well. Like I said, there are refugees in all your communities, all of you that are watching now. So reach out to them, and if you need the advice, the support of UNHCR, UNHCR is also in most of your countries. We will be able to cooperate. And then, of course, institutionally, Ahmed can speak about that, we can continue and strengthen our cooperation. I value it very much. When I learned about this Jamboree, Ahmed invited me, I said, this is one thing that social distancing or not, I cannot miss. So I'm very happy to be here.
And we are very happy to have you here also. So what about you, Ahmed? What are you most excited about achieving through this collaboration?
I think everything Filippo has said already. I mean, it excites me enormously knowing that we can continue supporting the leadership of UNHCR in this field, working and supporting, as I said, young people who are in need basically for access to opportunities. I believe it's a human right to access opportunities. Every person deserves an opportunity, and we should, when the UN and all of us talk about leaving no one behind, we talk about that access to the opportunity that nobody should be deprived from. So this is a partnership about providing that opportunities for young people who are basically in challenging settings and situations. I also believe in looking at this partnership, I'm often reminded by a saying for the founder of the Scout movement, Lord Baden Powell, when he was very excited after the League of Nations was established, even before the United Nations, after the First World War. And he wrote a letter saying the job of scouting is not to make the League of Nations at that time a pact between nations, but it should be a bond between people. And I think that was beautifully said back then, and it's extremely relevant in our words today. We need that bond between people. We're reminded of that bond that brings us together. We are reminded, as Filippo said, of the vulnerability of our human basically existence on the planet, of even our social interaction, and we're reminded that together we're stronger. So scouting by joining forces and teaming up with the UNHCR, UN refugees, is renewing that commitment, and I really look forward that as we have brought these opportunities for young people and refugee camps and other places, that we're able to expand that, but also to team up also with Filippo and saying, I hope that all of our over 54 million members become voices and ambassadors for humanity and to speak and to stand with refugees.
Amazing. So, gentlemen, I guess it's the big moment everyone waiting for. Drum rolls, everyone. And what we're gonna do now, Ahmad? Would you like to tell everyone what you are doing now? Both in you and Filippo?
Our teams have been working very closely to develop a framework of cooperation and memorandum of understanding, building on the partnership that was established in 1995. And this is a great moment. We were hoping for an in-person signing, but I think we can do the signing moment also virtually. This is the reality of our work today. Very proud to team up with you, Filippo, and UNHCR. Thank you on behalf of the Scout movement.
Thank you,
guys. Thank you. So we sign.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Social distancing doesn't stop Scouts, right? Thank you so much, gentlemen, for your time. It has been an honor to have you here in our live. Have a good day and hope to see you in person soon, somewhere in the world. Stay safe.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Ahmed. Thank you, Noor.
Thank you, Filippo. Thank you, Noor.
Thank you. So, what's next? We will go back to check our talents. Do we still have some more talents out there, Edgar?
Yes, we do. But just before we go back to check our talent, see, guys, if you are working on projects at local levels, be sure to establish partnerships so as to have a greater impact. We may not be going to school right now, but we will surely learn a lot of new things this weekend. Coming right up, the educational lab, followed by the Healthy Habit Studio.
Hi, my name is Mari and I'm from Armenia. I'm 50 years old and I like always drawing. Let's go see this video.
That was amazing. Yes, indeed. So, guys, our next guest is Vishen Lahiani, co-founder of MindValley. He's going to talk about the 6-step meditation, and we will understand a little bit what it means by meditation. Thank you. That was Alejandro, who was giving us a small bit of entertainment as we wait for our next guest, and who I want to believe is here for us to share with us how can we stay calm in such a time where we have a lot of storm, pandemic and trouble and problems and difficulties, rough time going on all around us. But we need to remain positive, we need to remain centered, we need to remain calm in order to be able to move on. So from MindValley, guest is Vishen Lahiani, the co-founder. He will share with us how to meditate.
So that was our friend from Indonesia playing the guitar for us. And now we shall welcome our guest, right, Edgar?
Yes, we are going to welcome our guest. Mind and Body.
Okay.
Apologies for that.
We have to wait a little bit. Yes.
Waiting a little bit.
Yeah, we are making them more excited, right? This still creates a bit of suspense. So let's go and see another video. A friend from India who's gonna read a poem for us. Enjoy.
My name is Shivani Gupta from Delhi State Bharat Scouts and Guides. So today I want to present unwritten poem in Hindi. My topic is दर्द. बनो जीवन की वो खुली किताब, बनो जीवन की वो खुली किताब जिसमें छुपे दर्द के समक्ष हो खुशी का लिबास. परंतु शायद खुली किताब का अर्थ उस ओट से परे है. परंतु शायद खुली किताब का अर्थ उस ओट से परे है जिसमें छुपे हुए दर्द लाइन से खड़े हैं. बच्चों द्वारा पिता के प्यार को समझा जाता कर्ज, बच्चों द्वारा पिता के प्यार को समझा जाता कर्ज, ना समझ बूढ़ी आंखों की टूटी अभिलाषा, शायद यही है दर्द. कहते हैं कि दो बातें बयां नहीं की जा सकती, कहते हैं कि दो बातें बयां नहीं की जा सकती. पहला खुशी का वो आनंदमय लम्हा, दूसरा दर्द की स्याही से लिखा वो पन्ना. फूल पर गिरी ओस की एक चमकीली बूंद, फूल पर गिरी ओस की एक चमकीली बूंद, नम आँखों से गिरी आंसू की एक बूंद. दोनों अलग होते हुए भी समान है, दोनों अलग होते हुए भी समान है, क्योंकि एक सृष्टि का जीवन तो दूजा आंसू रूपी मुर्दा जिससे भरे पड़े शमशान है. दर्द की धारणा हर मायने में अलग है, दर्द की धारणा हर मायने में अलग है. कहीं भस्म हुई राख तो कहीं आग की लपट है. कहते हैं कि दर्द की जुबान नहीं होती, कहते हैं कि दर्द की जुबान नहीं होती, शायद इसलिए इस भाव की लगाम नहीं होती। दर्द छुपे छुपाए नहीं छुपता, वो तो उस समय के समान है जो कभी नहीं रुकता। इसलिए कभी दिल में है तो कभी दिमाग में, या बंद पड़ी उस जीवन की किताब में। जिसकी गति बरकरार है, ना किसी को था ना किसी को होगा, इस दर्द का इंतजार है। धन्यवाद।
Shivani Gupta there from India with an amazing poem. So guys, as we continue, spread out a little bit, remove some clothes, remove some space in your living room. We're coming back for meditation in just 5 minutes. Don't go away. 5 minutes break.